Hello, young curiosity viewers. Picture a land of stunning beauty, from the towering Andes Mountains to the fertile Pampas grasslands, a country with a rich cultural heritage and a population known for its passion and resilience. This is Argentina, a nation that by all accounts should be a beacon of prosperity in South America. Yet, for decades, Argentina has been synonymous with economic instability. It's a country that seems to lurch from one crisis to another, leaving its citizens grappling with inflation, debt, and a sense of perpetual uncertainty. Why does this happen? Why is Argentina seemingly always facing economic turmoil? Is it a curse of history, a failure of policy, or a complex combination of factors that keep this potentially wealthy nation in a state of perpetual crisis? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand the key reasons behind Argentina's enduring economic woes and why its story offers valuable lessons for the rest of the world. But before we dive into this critical analysis, do me a huge favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to Young Curiosity for more mind-blowing insights, and let me know in the comments where you're watching from. We love seeing our global community grow. The specter of Peronism looms large over Argentina's economic history. Juan Domingo Perón, who rose to power in the 1940s, implemented a set of populist policies aimed at benefiting the working class. These included nationalization of key industries, expansion of social welfare programs, and increased wages. While initially popular and credited with improving the lives of many Argentinians, these policies also laid the groundwork for long-term economic challenges. The massive expansion of government spending, often without sustainable funding, led to persistent fiscal deficits. Nationalization, while intended to bring economic control back to Argentina, sometimes resulted in inefficient state-run enterprises. Furthermore, the strong labor unions empowered by Peronism often pushed for wage increases that were not always aligned with productivity growth, contributing to inflationary pressures. Even after Perón's fall from power, the political and economic landscape remained deeply influenced by his ideology. Successive governments, whether Peronist or anti-Peronist, often struggled to break free from the patterns of high social spending and state intervention, contributing to a cycle of economic instability. The polarization of Argentine politics, often along Peronist and anti-Peronist lines, has made it difficult to implement consistent and long-term economic reforms. Every change in government often brings about a reversal of previous policies, creating uncertainty and discouraging investment. What aspects of Peronism do you think had the most lasting negative impact on Argentina's economy? Share your thoughts below. Argentina's history is also marked by a recurring and debilitating cycle of debt and default. Over the decades, the country has accumulated significant levels of foreign debt, often taken on during periods of economic expansion or to finance budget deficits. However, when economic conditions worsen, Argentina has repeatedly found itself unable to meet its debt obligations, leading to sovereign defaults. These defaults have severe consequences. They damage the country's international reputation, making it harder and more expensive to borrow money in the future. This limits Argentina's ability to finance crucial infrastructure projects or to weather economic shocks. Furthermore, defaults often trigger economic crises, leading to currency devaluations, capital flight, and a loss of investor confidence. The cycle then repeats itself as the country struggles to recover and eventually takes on more debt. The reasons for this repeated pattern of debt accumulation and default are complex, but they often involve a combination of factors, including unsustainable fiscal policies, external economic shocks, such as fluctuations in global commodity prices, and a lack of consistent long-term economic planning. The inability to manage its debt effectively has been a major drag on Argentina's economic potential for generations, creating a sense of instability that undermines long-term growth and prosperity. The constant threat of default also makes it difficult for businesses to plan for the future and discourages foreign investment, which is crucial for economic development. Hyperinflation has been another recurring nightmare for Argentina. The country has experienced periods of extremely high inflation, where prices for goods and services rise rapidly and unpredictably, often eroding the value of savings and making it difficult for ordinary citizens to make ends meet. Hyperinflation is a symptom of deep-seated economic problems, often stemming from excessive government spending financed by printing money. This leads to a loss of confidence in the national currency, as people try to exchange it for more stable assets like foreign currencies or even goods. The social consequences of hyperinflation can be devastating, leading to increased poverty, social unrest, and a breakdown of trust in economic institutions. Argentina has struggled to break free from the inflationary mindset, with many Argentinians having lived through multiple episodes of hyperinflation and maintaining a deep skepticism towards the stability of their currency. This ingrained expectation of inflation can also become a self-fulfilling prophecy as businesses raise prices in anticipation of further increases. Controlling inflation requires disciplined fiscal and monetary policies, as well as a credible commitment from the government to maintain price stability. However, achieving this has proven to be a persistent challenge in Argentina's volatile political and economic environment. Political instability and corruption have also played a significant role in undermining Argentina's economic prospects. Frequent changes in government, often accompanied by shifts in economic policy, create uncertainty and make it difficult to implement and sustain long-term reforms. Corruption at various levels of government and the private sector diverts resources away from productive investments and erodes public trust. Scandals involving public funds and illicit enrichment undermine the rule of law and create an uneven playing field for businesses. This lack of transparency and accountability discourages both domestic and foreign investment, as businesses are hesitant to commit capital in an environment where the rules of the game can change abruptly and where corruption is rampant. Furthermore, political infighting and a lack of consensus on key economic issues have often paralyzed the government's ability to take decisive action to address economic challenges. The focus on short-term political gains often overshadows the need for difficult but necessary long-term reforms. Building strong and stable institutions, ensuring the rule of law, and combating corruption are crucial for creating a predictable and reliable economic environment that can attract investment and foster sustainable growth. Finally, Argentina's reliance on its vast natural resources, while a potential strength, has also contributed to its economic vulnerabilities. The country is a major exporter of agricultural commodities like soybeans, beef, and wheat, as well as having significant reserves of oil and gas. However, this dependence on commodity exports makes Argentina's economy highly susceptible to fluctuations in global commodity prices. When prices are high, the country can experience periods of economic growth, but when prices fall, the economy can be severely impacted, leading to trade deficits and fiscal pressures. This resource curse, as it's sometimes called, can also lead to a neglect of other sectors of the economy, such as manufacturing and technology, hindering diversification and long-term development. Furthermore, the management of these natural resources has often been a source of political controversy and corruption. Achieving sustainable and diversified economic growth requires Argentina to move beyond its reliance on raw material exports and to invest in higher value-added industries, innovation, and education. This would make the economy more resilient to external shocks and create more stable and higher-paying jobs. What industries do you think Argentina should focus on developing beyond its traditional strengths in agriculture? Share your ideas below. In conclusion, Argentina's persistent economic crises are the result of a complex interplay of historical legacies, policy choices, political dynamics, and external factors. The enduring influence of Peronism, the recurring cycles of debt and default, the damaging effects of hyperinflation, the corrosive impact of political instability and corruption, and the vulnerabilities associated with a resource-dependent economy have all contributed to the country's economic struggles. Overcoming these deeply rooted challenges will require a sustained commitment to sound fiscal and monetary policies, structural reforms to diversify the economy, a strengthening of democratic institutions and the rule of law, and a broad political consensus on the need for long-term stability over short-term gains. Argentina's story serves as a cautionary tale about the importance of responsible economic management and the enduring consequences of policy missteps. While the path to lasting economic stability may be long and arduous, understanding the root causes of Argentina's crises is the first step towards a more prosperous future.